Election procedures. In this section, we're going to cover the steps that you'll use to process voters. All polling locations have a neutral zone, which begins at the main voter entrance to that location and extends 100 feet from that door. Inside the neutral zone, there is no campaigning, no handing out literature, and no election signs. Voters should remove any buttons, stickers, or cover any political slogans they may be wearing before entering the neutral zone. If campaigning occurs in the neutral zone, the precinct election officials should ask the campaigners to move outside of the neutral zone. If need be, contact the Board of Elections to assist you with this task. The neutral zone is indicated by an American flag and a sign that says 100 feet from the polling location. These signs, flags, and a string 100 feet long are included in your location box. The first step in opening the sign-in station is to press the button on the right-hand side of the iPad twice. This is called the Home button. On our home screen, we'll have an opportunity to verify that the polling location assigned to the iPad is the polling location you are at on Election Day. Our first step on the home screen is to double check that we have a green light for the printer and for sideways connectivity. If the printer does not have a green light, double check that the printer is turned on. The green sideways connectivity icon verifies that your sign-in station is connected with other sign-in stations at the location. The number in the red circle indicates how many other sign-in stations your sign-in station is connected to. For example, if you have 3 sign-in stations at your location, the number on the screen should be 2, because that sign-in station is connected to 2 other sign-in stations. Also available on the home screen is the number of voters registered at your location, indicated by the precinct records. Additionally, the number below precinct records, check-ins, is the number of voters who have signed in at that sign-in station. For example, this sign-in station has had 5 voters sign in. Once you're ready to begin processing voters, press the Get Started button to move to the next step. There are 2 passwords assigned to each sign-in station, one for Democratic precinct election officials and one for Republican precinct election officials. Those passwords are stored in the blue and red envelopes in your 5:45 a.m. folder. Election morning, your polling location supervisor will need to update your sign-in stations with the most current voter list. Your polling location supervisor will use their iSync drive located inside the red media box. While your supervisor will handle this process, they may ask for your assistance. Once you signed into the sign-in station, you can begin processing voters. There are 2 ways to look up voters: scanning the barcode on the voter's driver's license or State of Ohio ID card, or manually searching for the voters. To scan the barcode, press the Scan Barcode button, lay the ID card in the tray provided, barcode up, picture facing away from you. The voter's information will be pulled up on the screen. The first screen will show the voter's information. This is your opportunity to verify the voter's name and current address by asking the voter these questions. What's your name? What's your current address? Once the voter has verified this information, press the Accept button. The voter now signs their name. Turn the iPad to face the voter and allow the voter to record their signature on the screen. After the voter has signed their name, turn the iPad back to face you. Press the Done Signing button. Note, if the voter doesn't sign their name, you're unable to go to the next step. On the next screen, you have the opportunity to compare the voter's signature with the signature on file with the Board of Elections. If the signature does not match, request assistance from your polling location supervisor. Once you've verified the signature, ask the voter what type of ballot they would like, manual ballot or digital ballot. Digital ballots are marked on the touchscreen. Manual ballots are marked with a pen. If a voter selects a digital ballot, Select Digital from the drop-down box in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Ballot stock should already be loaded into the digital ballot printer. Verify that a blank ballot is loaded in the digital ballot printer and press the Submit button. The voter's ballot information will print at the top of the digital ballot. The voter takes the digital ballot to the digital booth. If a voter chooses a manual ballot, choose Manual Ballot from the drop-down menu on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Ask the PEO assigned to the ballot table for the correct ballot style for that voter. Select the Submit button. The camera will turn on the iPad. Scan the QR code on the top of the ballot. The voter's ballot stub will be recorded, and the sign-in station will verify that you have selected the correct ballot for that voter. Before handing the ballot to the voter, remove the ballot stub at the top of the ballot. Hand the ballot to the voter. Ballot stubs are stored in the manual ballot stub bag and returned to the Board of Elections on election night. The other option to find a voter in the sign-in station is to use the manual entry method. Start by selecting Manual Entry. Type in the first few letters of the voter's last name and first name. Eligible voters at your voting location are listed first in the clear boxes. Voters from other voting locations that match what you've typed in so far are listed in the gray box at the bottom of the screen. Select the correct voter. A screen is now presented to verify the voter's ID. Select the type of ID presented by the voter on the left-hand side. Acceptable ID for voters include a driver's license or State of Ohio ID card, a government check or paycheck with the voter's name, current address, and issued in the last 12 months, mail from the Board of Elections with the exception of acknowledgement notices, a bank statement or utility bill with the voter's current name, current address, and issued within the last 12 months. Other official government documents that include a voter's name, a voter's address, and are either not expired or issued within the past 12 months. Military IDs, which do not have to include a voter's address. All forms of ID must either be not expired or have been issued within the past 12 months. ID that is not acceptable for voting. Expired or non-Ohio driver's license or state ID cards. Acknowledgement notices from the Board of Elections. Passports, Social Security cards, or insurance cards, as they do not include a voter's name and address. Any other document without a voter's name and address. Questions will appear on the screen to help you verify that that ID is valid. When finished, the screen will tell you if the ID is valid. If a voter's ID is not valid, ask the voter if they have other ID. If the voter does not have any other ID, send the voter to the provisional table for processing. Once you've verified the voter's ID, hit OK and verify the voter's name and address. Here are some other situations you may encounter when looking up voters. If a voter has already voted, their name will appear in green with the word voted on the screen. Remember, a voter who signs into any sign-in station at the location will be shown as voted on all the sign-in stations. If a voter has requested an absentee ballot from the Board of Elections, the voter's name will appear in pink with the word absentee. Even if the voter has not turned in their absentee ballot to the Board of Elections, they will still appear as an absentee voter. Any voter who requests an absentee ballot, whether they return that ballot or not to the Board of Elections, must vote a provisional ballot on Election Day. Some voters are listed as being in confirmation status. These voters appear in yellow with the word confirmation on the screen. When checking in the voter, confirm that the voter's current address matches the address on file with the Board of Elections. If the address is correct, continue to process that voter. If the address is not correct, that voter needs to vote a provisional ballot. If you look up a voter and that voter is listed in a gray box with the words "wrong location," that voter is at the incorrect polling location. Select the voter to see where the voter should go to vote. Tell the voter their correct polling location, or send them to the provisional table to have their polling location information printed. As a reminder, if the voter insists on voting at your location, have the voter vote a provisional ballot. If a voter makes a mistake on their ballot and needs a new ballot assigned, refer to the instructions on the soiled and defaced envelope. Your polling location supervisor can help you with this process. In addition to your regular sign-in stations, one table at your location will be set up for processing provisional voters. As a reminder, if the status of a voter cannot be determined on Election Day, that voter will vote a provisional ballot, and the Board of Elections will determine that status later. At your provisional table, you'll have one sign-in station inside a blue sign-in box. The provisional table will also have access to the yellow provisional ballot bag. Additionally, the provisional box should be at the provisional table. Inside the provisional box, you'll find your provisional binder and plenty of envelopes for processing provisional ballots. The provisional binder has instructions for processing provisional voters, as well as sheets for the voter to fill out their name and address. When processing a provisional voter, use the sign-in station to look up the voter's information. Select the correct ballot for the voter. Reminder, all provisional voters vote a manual ballot. You'll continue to record the provisional voter's information in the provisional binder. Hand the voter the yellow provisional envelope and their provisional ballot. They'll take both the ballot and the envelope to a manual booth to complete them. When finished, the voter should fold their ballot and place it inside the yellow envelope. Remind the voter to leave the A stub attached to the top of the ballot. Once the ballot and the envelope are complete, they're returned to the provisional table. The PEO at the provisional table should verify that the voter has filled out all the white boxes on the yellow provisional envelope. If there's any additional information you feel the Board of Elections should know about that provisional ballot, write that information on the back of the provisional envelope. Be sure to include your name and contact information in case the Board of Elections needs to follow up. Once the envelope is complete and sealed, it's placed in the yellow provisional bag. Election morning and Election Day, verify that you have 2 green lights on the front of your digital booth. If you don't have 2 green lights, double check your power supply to your safe cart. All 4 booths on the safe cart are ADA accessible. All 4 booths are equipped with a keypad and headphones for voters to listen to the ballot and make their selections. Additionally, all 4 booths have a universal ADA port. If a voter chooses to vote a digital ballot, they'll proceed to a digital booth where they'll insert their digital ballot, voters touch the screen to make their selections. If a voter makes their selection and wishes to change it, they can touch a different choice on the screen. Voters also have the option to vote for a write-in candidate if one is on the ballot. By selecting the write-in candidate, a screen appears where a voter may enter that candidate's name. Remember, the list of write-in candidates is kept by the precinct election officials at the sign-in station. The list should not be posted, but should be available to voters if they request it. If no candidate filed for office on the ballot, the digital booth will display "No valid petition filed." At the end of the ballot, the digital booth displays a review screen. Voters can review their selections on their ballot. If a voter wishes to change their selection, they can touch on the contest to be taken back to the screen where they can make a new selection. Once a voter has reviewed their selections and is happy with their choices, they print their ballot. Voter selections are now printed on their digital ballot. Voters have the opportunity to review those selections one more time and then proceed to the Submit scanner where they'll finish casting their ballot. If a voter makes a mistake on their ballot, they can return their soiled ballot to the sign-in station and be reissued a new ballot. Voters who wish to vote a manual ballot do so at a manual booth. A voter can come up to a booth, fill out their ballot with privacy. Instructions are provided to the voter, instructing them to fill in the oval completely and not mark their ballot with any checks or X's. At the end of the evening, after you have processed your last voter, your polling location supervisor will download the election information from the sign-in station. The iSync drive, with the information downloaded, will be returned to the Board of Elections in the red media box. To close your digital booths, begin by removing the privacy shields. If the digital booth is not already extended, extend it from its storage area, unlock and open the side door, and press the off button. Once the digital booth is completely off, return it to its storage area, close the doors, and lock them before storing the safe cart for the evening. To break down the manual booth, begin by closing the privacy flaps on the side. Close and latch the lid, and then flip the booth upside down. Remove the legs from the bottom of the booth. Break the legs down into their two separate pieces. Flip the booth back over, open the lid, and insert the legs into the side of the booth. Once the legs are inserted, close the lid and relatch the booth. We're now going to run through the procedures to close the Submit scanners at your polling location at the end of Election Day. As a reminder, all of the procedures needed to close your polling location are found in the 730 file in your file box. We start by unlocking the door on top of the Submit scanner. This is another instance where you'll need your lanyard and set of keys for your polling location. Once the door is open, we hit the Close Polls button to begin the close down procedure. Once the Close Poll screen is displayed, we hit the red Close Poll button. The Submit scanner begins the close down procedure. Both Submit scanners will print two closing total reports. The first copies will be signed by two precinct election officials, one Republican and one Democrat, then inserted into the closing total report envelope for return to the Board of Elections on election night. The second copies of the closing total reports are displayed on the front door of your polling location for any public who wish to see the results from your location on election night. Once the reports have finished printing, it is now time to hit the red button and turn off the Submit scanner. Please wait for the Submit scanner to finish shutting down before removing the yellow memory stick. Once the Submit scanner is completely powered down, we remove the yellow memory stick and insert it in the red media box. Once the yellow memory sticks are removed from the Submit scanners, our final step is to remove the blue ballot boxes and prepare them for transport to the Board of Elections. Ballot boxes are stored in the lower compartment on the Submit scanner. After unlocking the door and closing the lid to the ballot box is removed from the submit scanner. At this point, we'll put our voted ballots end here sheet on top of our ballots. It is important not to touch the voted ballots and to leave them inside the blue box. Lock the box on both sides. We'll seal the box with the blue seal from your file box. It's easiest to submit the seal on the side of the box that doesn't have the handle. Our ballot box is now ready to be returned to the Board of Elections. To put the submit scanners back in the safe cart, close the screen on the front of the scanner, followed by the lid on top. At the end of the night, return the submit scanner to the safe cart. The scanner fits best if the front of the scanner enters the cart first. Before closing the doors to the safe cart on election night, grab a fresh seal, record the number on the seal number recording chart and initial next to the number. After closing the doors, place the seal and then secure the door with the padlock. Close and go. On election night, polling locations are closed down using a process called close and go. After the last voter has finished voting, the polling location supervisor will lead the PEOs in closing down specific equipment and preparing the ballots to be returned to the Board of Elections. Once the ballots and other important materials are ready to be returned to the Board of Elections, a pre-selected team of 1 Republican and 1 Democrat PEO will bring the materials down to the Board of Elections. The remaining PEOs and polling location supervisor will finish putting away the rest of the supplies and closing down the equipment. The team that returns the ballots and other important supplies to the Board of Elections is pre-selected and notified ahead of the election. 1 PEO must drive their vehicle to the Board of Elections, and the other PEO must ride in the same vehicle. After returning the ballots and other important materials to the Board of Elections, that team must return to their polling location and drop off the rider at their vehicle. Teams that return the ballots and other important materials to the Board of Elections will be compensated extra for performing this task. If you are selected for this task and cannot perform the duties, please work with the other PEOs at your location to find a substitute. The remaining PEOs and polling location supervisor can leave their polling location once all the other materials have been packed up and put away. They do not need to wait for the team to return that is dropping off the ballots. Likewise, once the team returning the ballots makes their way back to their polling location, they are finished with their responsibilities and are free to leave for the evening. Remember, this and all other procedures are outlined in detail in your file box and election manual for reference on Election Day.